This is the cheap light adventure to Venice in Italy. And Venice is something else. It is very different to anything else I've seen. Venice is a fascinating city, so let's go and explore it. And first we go into Venice's equivalent of Harrods. Well, I say Harrods. I actually think Harrods would be a bit cheap compared to this shop. This is a shop for Venice's super wealthy. Because taking a look at the people in Venice, the majority of people here are tourists. Then you get the ordinary Italians who live here. And then you get the super wealthy. People who are living in an utter bubble. They are living artificial lives completely disconnected from reality. Because while in other parts of the world people are struggling, but Venice's super wealthy are living detached from anything, in an illusion, completely artificial, and they spend extortionate amounts of money on nothing. Let's take a look at what this shop sells. It sells things like this top, which looks like just an ordinary top, and it costs €590. I do not understand the concept of designer brands. Do I dare say I think you'd possibly get a top nicer than this one from Primark? So why would you buy this €590 top? You'd buy it just for the brand. And I don't get this. Because surely if you want to walk around with a brand name on you, surely the company should be paying you to wear their brand rather than you spending extortionate amounts of money to wear it. And as well as this shop also sells extortionately priced jewellery. Now I do kind of get the idea of jewellery if you're buying it as an investment because it does contain real diamonds. But for the people who just want a diamond because they think it looks nice, what's the point? Like this watch here doesn't even look nice and it costs €16,700. And this watch here, fucking hell, it costs €31,600. Ugh. So, with how overpriced everything is in this shop, what do you think the lift would be like? I'd expect a bloody good lift in a shop like this. Well, this shop has the cheapest lift they could get. I find this insulting. The shop selling stuff this overpriced and they can't even have a decent lift. Wow, that's cheap. So when you're selling utter shit for £30,000, it's utter rubbish. You would have thought at least you'd get a good lift, but nope, they got this shit. So then, let's now go and explore Venice. Venice is a very different place to anywhere else I've been. The centre of Venice is an island and it's got loads of canals in it. In fact, there are no cars in Venice and everything has to be delivered by boat. So you see a lot of working boats here which are delivering stuff to different businesses around Venice. It is a very fascinating place to take a look around. Although, with that said, although there's some working boats, most of the boats here are stupid, overpriced tourist traps. Such as the hearse boat. For just €80 for half an hour, you can take a ride on a boat which looks like a hearse. You can't turn that deal down, can you? Seriously, it's €80 for half an hour in the daytime or in the evening is €100 for 35 minutes. I don't think I'll be paying that much to take a ride in a hearse. And you're paying that amount of money and the boat doesn't even have an engine. Someone has to row it. So it is a boringly slow boat and you're paying a stupid amount of money to ride it. Why is this even a thing? This is a floating hearse. That's like the least thing I want to ride in, but people obviously do. And it's so slow as well, it doesn't even have an engine. You just get pushed along. Look at it, so much faster. That's a far better thing to have a ride in. Except that's also expensive because that's a taxi. Well, that's a bit bad driving. He shoved his way through there. Well, if only they put an engine on it, they could actually make it go a lot quicker. So they have to have someone row it at really slow speeds. It's so boring. Venice is a very expensive place. But with that said, Venice does not have to cost you extortionate amounts of money if you're careful. My tips for visiting Venice on the cheap are only eat McDonald's and Burger King and eat cold food from the regular local supermarkets. Avoid all of the tourist traps and avoid all of the restaurants. They all overcharge. As for places to stay, don't stay in the Venice island itself, stay out on the outskirts on the mainland. Even if you follow those tips, Venice will still be somewhat expensive compared to other places, but it won't be extortionate if you follow those tips and avoid the many little businesses trying to fleece you from your money. There's no prices up. 4 Joseph Peretti, which looks like poison but is actually a pasta. I'm going to guess it's €100 per 100 grams probably. That looks like a garden weed. I bet it's €200 per 100 grams. That looks like something you cough up when you're about to be sick, that pasta there. That looks like someone's hair has been chopped off. Let's just focus on the city. So we can just ignore all of the rubbish and just look at the city. The city is a very epic place and very much worth visiting, because it just looks so different from anything else I've ever seen. And although Venice might not have all my usual interests, like there's not many lifts here, there is always something interesting and you'll see wherever you walk. It is just a fascinating place to walk around, and wherever you go you'll see weird little interesting corners and weird bits of canal. Just things that are fascinating to look at. As well as the canals, there's also loads of little alleyways. And these alleyways are twisting, turning passageways and remind me of the Medinas of Morocco. I actually felt like I was in Morocco going round some of Venice. And if you want a challenge, try and navigate across Venice through these alleyways without a map, and I'll guarantee it, you'll get lost, and it is very fun. And let's now go and explore some hotels. First we go along to London Palace. It doesn't really look like say from London, but hey, I guess that's just the name. This hotel is very posh, and the lift in here is an old Fiume lift, but it's been horribly modernised by Italian Generic. Stop. Oh. The logics in some of these are so basic. Maintained by Otis. And now we go along to the next hotel, which is a 4-star hotel. And this has to be one of the worst 4-star hotels I've seen because it's so small. Like, it looks quite posh, so I guess that could tick the box as being 4-star. But it doesn't have any facility, like there's no swimming pool or anything. And it's tiny. Surely a hotel can't count as 4 stars when it's this small. And the lift is... It's not a Fiume. It's Fiume! So, we've seen a modded Fiume, and we've seen a Fiume. I think we now need to see an original Fiume. So let's go to an original epic old 1960s Fiume lift. This lift is awesome. And now we go along to Venice Central train station. This station has all sorts of intercity trains. Let's take a look around the station.
È in arrivo al binario 22. Attenzione! Allo...
So then, while I'm in the centre of Venice, it is very interesting and fascinating to explore. But for making videos about lifts for my YouTube channel, it is a bit hard because there's not really many lifts here. So as fascinating as the centre of Venice is, it's hard to get content. So let's now go out onto the mainland of Venice. And the mainland is more like a regular Italian place, which has the stuff I'd normally film for my channel. So let's go and explore the mainland. And to get over to the mainland, there is the tram bus. Now, I've seen these in Paris. It's a very weird vehicle because it's like a bus and looks like a tram, and it's got a central guide rail. And what's more odd is I get the impression that Venice's Transport Authority does not like these, because you would have thought when they've spent all the money on this infrastructure they'd be using it a lot, when in fact there's far more regular buses, and often the regular bus routes get you to your destination quicker than the tram bus, and the tram buses are quite infrequent. So I get the impression that they don't actually think much of their tram buses because they don't utilise them that much. But anyway, they are fun to go on, so let's take a ride in it. Right then, here I am on the mainland. Let's first go to Venice's tallest building, which is this building. This building has some Cone EcoDisc MX-10 brackets 16 lifts, which is basically a faster version of the MX-10. But what's weird about these lifts is they've got the Cone NMX VF drive. So these were built in the NMX era. But that would mean at this point, the MX-10 bracket 16 motor has been superseded by the NMX 14 motor. How on earth can you have an MX-10 bracket 16 with NMX VF drive? This is a rare combination. Whee! Full speed. MX-10 16. Very nice. So then, getting caught lift surfing doesn't happen very often because pretty much no one sees you when you're on top of a lift. Well, if you make sure no one sees you getting on a lift, it's very unlikely anyone sees you when getting off the lift. Usually people just blanket like they don't even know what you're doing. And I've also surfed loads of glass lifts that haven't been caught. You do get caught very occasionally, but I don't like to be caught in a foreign country lift surfing, especially when you're not very sure what the laws are. And that is what happened. The situation was a bit tense, but luckily it didn't escalate much and the police weren't called or anything, so it was okay, but still I don't want to get caught in foreign countries. So then, now we go along to the Venice Mainland train station. Let's take a look around. And let's now go to a complex of hotels just outside the Venice Mainland station. This is a set of 4 hotels. This is like a hotel estate. All of these 4 hotels are identical, but these hotels have been bought by 3 different hotel companies, which means that 2 of the hotels are owned by the same company. 2 of them have been bought by A&O. And these two A&O hotels are completely identical. It's like they've been copied and pasted. Meaning that if you booked a stay at one of these two A&O hotels, it'd be very confusing to know which one you booked at. Because I went in both of them and they are literally carbon copies of each other. There's no differences between them. Apart from one of them has a very small number 2 after a name to indicate it's a different hotel. All of the hotels in this estate have Schindler 3300 plus lifts, which is a faster and very slightly better built version of 3300, but it still doesn't have a chassis, which is not acceptable for a lift that goes 1.6 meters a second. So then, let's now take a look at the other brands of hotel in the estate, which is identical to the A&O hotels. There's no difference about it, apart from the interior theming of the hotel is very slightly different. And now let's take a look at the fourth one of the hotels in this hotel estate, which is the Leonardo Hotel. And even though this is a more expensive brand of hotel, the hotel is literally identical to the A&O hotels, which are a much cheaper brand. And again, the only difference is very slightly different theming inside the hotel. Although there is one other difference. In this hotel, the Schindler 3300 Plus lifts have destination dispatch.
1 car 80. Zero car C.
This is all one estate, I think. So 4 hotels are all identical hotels. 2 of them are both the same brand, the other 2 are other brands. And they've all got Schindler 3300 Plus. And the car park also has Schindler 3300 Plus. I'm not sure it's worth checking out the rest of this area, because it's all built as one estate. It's all like one company that's built it on. It's all the exact same lift. Actually, no, correction. This one's not a 3300 Plus, this one's a basic 3300. But hey, same difference really. It's a 3300, it's shit. Why couldn't they have had 5500s instead of the 3300s? It's so much better. It'd make all the difference. What?
Yeah.
Sorry, I tried before. It's a car park. Finally, a nicer lift, but the music's really annoying. That's quality's much better on that. It's a slightly older building, but nicer. I actually prefer this one. Good idea.